Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Box Office Bingers. Ernesto, not only are we talking about our foreign film of the month, we also are doing our coveted summer blockbuster season, kind of a recap of our summer blockbuster season. So much so that I'm wearing my blockbuster shirt here.
I had a feeling that that's why you were doing that. As soon as you said blockbuster, I go, well, that's why he wore the shirt. But I get it.
Yeah, that's right. He thinks he's clever.
Yeah, look at him. Blockbusters. We're talking about blockbusters. We're talking about movies here.
Talking about movies. Specifically, the summer movies that came out the summer of 2025. We've been doing these for the last couple of years now, and it's always a fun episode. It's always fun to go back and a lot of people go to the movies during the summer to catch all the big releases. And I think it's kind of fun to kind of just go back from the start of the summer and seeing toward the end of the summer, which we believe this is kind of like wrapping up the big summer movies after Weapons came out a few weeks ago. And it's always good because a lot of people a lot of people focus on the box office numbers, how the movies did. A lot of money's been put into this. And it's kind of interesting to see how we even talk about some of the movies that opening weekend and then oh, these are the numbers and oh, it did good, it did bad. But in actuality, when you see it in its full run, you kind of forget about the movie. Especially even our first movie is Thunderbolts. That movie came out all the way back in May, and people were talking about the numbers then, and then you kind of forget about the movies. And now the movie's about to be on Disney Plus.
Just dropped on Disney Plus today, actually. The day of this.
Yeah, you're right. And so it's kind of interesting to see kind of the lifespan of that. And did it actually really succeed financially? Is it still the movie that it was? And these are the fun conversations we have to like to have, and specifically for the summer movies. We've been doing these for the last couple of years now. It's always a fun episode to do. But before we do that, we also are going to be talking about foreign film of the month. So Ernesto, tell all of the listeners what we're reviewing this week.
We are reviewing probably one of the most going to be talked about animated films of this year. We're reviewing Ne Zha 2, a 2025 Chinese animated film, written and directed by Yu Yang, who also did the first film. It's loosely based on the novel Investiture of the Gods, currently the highest grossing animated film of all time and the highest grossing film of 2025 at a worldwide gross of $1.9 billion. And I remember when this news first dropped a couple months ago, and then it's whoa. And then A24 picked it up, and they gave us an English subversion. Michelle Yeoh's voiced the mother of Ne Zha. So yeah, Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's almost like we planned it, that we're having our summer blockbuster recap at the same time we're reviewing one of the highest grossing films of 2025. It's crazy because again, this movie kind of came out of nowhere. We were talking about this at the end of last week's episode, and we have mentioned this film before. Was just last year, Inside Out 2 became the highest grossing animated film of all time. And you're like, good for Inside Out 2. That's probably going to hold that title for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, not even a few months later, it's Ne Zha 2 is now beating Inside Out 2. And you're like, I'm sorry, what? What movie?
Hold my beer. Ne Zha 2, so there's a first one? Where's the first one?
Yeah, there's a one? And you're like, what happened here? And this movie has been on our radar for quite some time because it had a very limited US release. And so it kind of came and went. And then we're like, oh man, I can't wait for this to come on digital. We've been waiting for quite some time for this to be actually available again. And I figured it was going to be on the VOD market. But then, like you mentioned, A24 picked it up for the US distribution. It also gave it an English version. And then just this past weekend, it became available. I guess it was on a limited release. I think it was a more wider release than I think originally.
There's not a lot. I
Um,
mean, it's in theaters right. I mean, currently it's in theaters right now. But there's not like a lot of showings. I mean, I was lucky. I was able to get it. I mean, they were showing it at the Dolby Theater at the Disney Springs here in Orlando.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think to your point, there's only like 4 showings, and then 2 of which were in 3D, so I didn't have that many options. But I mean, regardless, it was available for us to do that, so we were able to kind of squeeze it in there. And I'm happy that we did because I think this is going to be in contention, even box office withstanding, as probably one of the films that are going to be nominated this year, uh, to get at very least a variety of animated films. We were talking about K-pop Demon Hunters last week, and that will most likely get nominated. I think this is another film that's kind of like giving because there's not a lot of animated movies that we've talked about this year so far.
Yeah, I
Um,
think the only other one that we've really talked about is Elio.
yeah, I think you're right. And so there wasn't a lot of offerings. I'm trying to remember what DreamWorks I might have put out. And I know they just came out with the Bad Guys too, but I'm pretty sure they came out with one movie earlier this year.
Mm.
And if they did, I'm drawing a blank on it, so I guess it wasn't really that memorable. And they came out really strong last year with The Wild Robot, and that was getting a lot of attention from DreamWorks.
Hmm.
So who knows if they'll get the same attention? But I feel like between K-pop Demon Hunters and Ninja 2, these are the ones that I think more people are talking about. And even says right there on the poster, this is the US re-release poster, or for the English version, it said the global phenomenon. I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if you said I never heard of this movie before. And we didn't. But all of a sudden it's making all the money. And just strictly just talking about the box office, all of that money came from the Chinese audience solely. And I don't know if any other movie has made this movie in one region. If you scroll down, Ernesto, if you see how much money was solely from China, uh it's right there. 1.8 billion of that 1.9 billion made was just in China alone.
Damn.
And that was earlier this year. And then you look at the rest of the markets,
Yeah, release
like
date in
they don't even
January. January 29th of 2025 is when it released.
that's insane. And then as you can see here, we had a limited domestic market in February 14th of 2025, and we currently only grossed 22 million of that 1.8 or total in that 1.9 billion dollar range. Oh, hold on, go back up. Oh, looks like we've well, I the that number has now changed since I
Oh,
last wrote this.
hold on. Let's refresh it just to make sure.
But
Make sure I got it
yeah,
right. Yeah.
just
Yep.
yeah. All right. So I guess now let's rephrase what we said. It looks like that with the U.S. re-release, it made a lot more money. So at the time of this recording, uh, Ninja 2 has made $22.4 million domestically, $1.87 billion internationally, with most of that coming from China. And that has bumped it up past now the $2 billion mark and is now grossed $2.15 billion. So at the time of I'm making this rundown, I said it was 1.9. It looks like it made a lot more with the US re-release, which makes sense because it was, to a wider audience or to a more showings, more availability, and
Mhm.
probably more notoriety since the film was probably getting a lot of attention, and maybe not a lot of people knew about it in February, but then I'm sure a lot of people who were interested, including us, know about it coming in August.
Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
let's talk about it, Matt. What are your
yeah.
initial thoughts on this movie?
I will say I think right there on the title it says an epic size tale made for an epic size screen. I do agree that this movie was an epic.
Yeah.
It it was very grand in scale. And before we talk about the second film, I do want to briefly talk about the first movie, which we both had a chance to watch. It's currently available on Netflix for anyone who is interested in watching the first movie. And you can tell between movie number 1 and movie number 2, they were drastic changes
Oh yeah.
to the way the movie was presented, like,
Even
as far as, like, animation-wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say the animation is like the animation in both movies are really good. I think they're really
Yeah.
great, really good. But like there is a significant upgrade between the first one and the second one. The second one's just like a little bit more polished, than the first one.
Oh,
It's
a
beautiful. I
little
mean,
bit.
it's beautiful.
I would say it's a lot more polished than the first movie, in my opinion. Like
Well, I
I was
mean, now remember, I saw the first one. I watched the first one essentially on my phone. So
yeah.
I've went from my phone to now the Dolby Theater in Disney Springs. It's a
Yeah.
much bigger difference in scale.
Yeah, I mean, but also so like I watched that at home and on my TV, but the first movie, but the I would say that like from the animation from 2019 to 2025, like you can tell that they were given the time and maybe the budget, they had to kind of make the movie they want. And it's a lot of movie. It's a lot. Like the first movie was an hour 50, the second movie was an hour 2 hours and 20 minutes. They added an additional 30 minutes worth of story in here in the second film. But again, the first movie, I think it was fine. I don't think there's anything I was wowed about with the first film. I was a little annoyed with our main character, which I think that was the point
Yeah, he's supposed
of
to be
it.
that way.
I don't think you were supposed to like him right off the bat. And they've explained the ways of how he was doing it. I feel like it took a really long time, in my opinion, for him to become a redeemable character in the first film.
Well, I think it kind of bled over a little bit into the second film, but the whole first point of the first film is like him becoming that person. So like
Yes.
you're not gonna see that until the very end. And based off even just like how the second one ended, like this is gonna be obviously like a 3-part story or whatever. Like this is gonna essentially be a trilogy. So like whole first part, like the whole first act, his first story is him becoming that person. So
Yeah.
I kind of so I agree with you. I think we spent a lot of time with seeing him be that person, but then I don't know. It felt, but when he did evolve, like it felt earned. I felt like it was really earned because we worked the whole movie all the way up to this point.
Yeah, and to work the whole movie, I mean, we worked the full 90 minutes to
Oh,
get for him to go Kamehameha on that, like to that transformation.
Super
Which
Saiyan.
I
He
think that's
essentially
an
went Super
interesting
Saiyan.
move.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was like, he is. Yeah, he essentially went like Super Saiyan.
He went Super Saiyan, which is an interesting move to give him a physical transformation like like that.
I think it's kind of the way that how they show their films and just how they display their characters. Like the spirit of that dragon was like this
Mhm.
dude in dragon armor. Like I thought that was
Yeah.
like that's kind of cool. So it's just they like we're already in this epic fantasy, so why not make everything like a drastic physical representation? Like
Yeah.
not just have him be this person, but like if he's gonna grow up meant spiritually, then have him go to his like spiritual full form, which was like that Super Saiyan form. So I get it
Yeah.
because it makes it very easy to follow along at any level. Like I watched the first one with my daughter who's 6, and she was able to she followed along the whole movie from start to finish.
Yeah,
Um,
I do think that the first movie was smaller in scale
yeah,
to where, yes, I think it's easily digestible. The story isn't too complicated. And like, yeah, it's just him becoming the person who he is. It's a very simple, to me, a simple story. And then he kind of goes off the deep end, and then he was told one path, and then he's trying to avert to the path that he is not destined to be, but what he is forging himself to be. And I think that's the whole point of the first movie, in a way. And so much so that they technically sacrificed both of them themselves
they did.
because they died at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Well, Albing tries to sacrifice himself, but then
Yeah.
Neja sees that he also needs to sacrifice him. Like he because he feels that he is the demon. He has this dark.
Yeah.
He's fighting this like eternal darkness that he can never get rid of. So he feels this is the only way for him to redeem himself.
Yeah. And then literally the second movie picks up almost immediately after the events of the first movie. Like there was barely any in between the events of one and two.
But I thought which is I liked because it obviously it's a like a literal direct continuation. But kind of we were talking about it before, but I think it's the way that they craft both stories were great because yeah, they're not dependent on each other. You can enjoy
Yeah.
each story independently because they give you the second one gives you enough context of the first one where you don't feel like you miss too much. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
can.
it was like a brief, I would maybe minute or two. It wasn't long of a recap
Yeah,
of what the events that happened in the first movie.
it's like an Uncle Roger recap. Look, here what happened. He was bad. He's good. They were friends. They played a game. They sacrificed, and here we are.
Now they're kind of dead, not really. They're spirits, and they're trying to put them back in bodies, and that's all you really need.
That's all you need to know. Now here
That's
we
all
are.
you-
Start
Here we
Neja 2.
Ninja Part 2.
Here we go.
Here we go.
But hold on. Briefly going back, I actually have the budget information for both films. So,
Great.
for Neja 1 was 22 million.
What?
Yeah. And Neja 2, the production budget was around 80 million. I guess this made it China's most expensive animated film, surpassing Deep Sea in 2023. Neja
so
2's budget was significantly higher than the first film, reflecting its larger scale, with over 4,000 animators across 138 companies involved compared to the 1,600 for Neja.
Do you know what the gross was for the first film? 'Cause I wonder if that 20 million gave them like how much, depending on how much they made, if it was a huge jump for them to justify an $80 million budget for a second film.
Whoa, Neja grossed approximately $742.7 million. But it was really funny that what you brought up, because it's very similar to this one, with 720 million from China alone. So at the time,
what was the total?
so the total was 742.7 million, and 720 million of that was just from China.
Wow. So a US release was only about what, 20 million, maybe less?
Yeah. What was 4?
That is kind of crazy.
Actually, the box office gross for Neja, the first one, was only 3.7 million in the US. It had a limited theatrical release.
3.7.
It had a limited theatrical release in North America, primarily in IMAX and select theaters.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, only 3 million. It opened domestically 1 million here in the US. Yeah, 726. That is insane.
Interesting.
So, yeah, no shit. We're making a sequel. You turn a $20 million movie into over $700 million profit. That you earned, I don't know, 700% profit off that movie?
Why not?
Yeah. We're making a sequel, everybody.
It's gonna be a 3-parter. Now I wonder how grand of a world release. Given how good this one is, like what kind of release are we going to look at for the third one? That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I would think now that you get a much wider release worldwide.
Absolutely.
Because now you turned a $20 million movie. Again, we're not even talking about the movie. You turned a $20 million film into over $700 million gross. Then you took 80 of that. You didn't even get 100. There are more animated movies here in the US that cost way more that does not pull those numbers.
That's crazy.
First of all, just think about that. Like we're gonna talk about box office numbers later. This is the theme of the whole show. Elio, for example, cost $150 million, and we'll get later on what the box office gross of that was. But just think about it: 150 on that animated film. This was done by 80 million, and they were able to turn 20 into 726, and then now they were able to turn 80 into 2 billion.
It's wild. That's crazy.
I mean, this obviously has a market. They're going to make a third movie.
Oh yeah.
Like they're golden. Like they clearly have something here. And again, going back to the film itself, the film looks gorgeous.
It's beautiful. I mean, first one and obviously the second one is leaps and bounds better, but like they're both just on their own. Like the animation is just gorgeous, and it's just smooth. And like some of the sequences that they put together, or just how they put these colors together, is just
Yeah.
this is gorgeous. This is beautiful animation. And the first one, I actually liked it. It's a solid movie. My only complaint, and this really translates to both movies, and this is with movies that are subbed and movies that are dubbed. I personally like to sub it, and then I like to read the subtitles and hear the inflections in their natural language. I just feel like I feel like I have a different connection to the movie, as opposed to when I'm listening to dubbed, which is like what our English translation of what we think it is. And I always feel like, even watching this movie with the kids, I had dubbed on, but I had the English subtitles to read. And there was always like a vast difference. Like, not even like, it's just like how they say things or the way they say things are just slightly different. I feel like when they do that, like when I read it, I interpret it different than what I'm hearing. So I feel like the character's different than what than how I'm interpreting it. So then, am I wrong? Are they wrong? Like, I don't know. I don't know, because isn't if this is subjective, it's open to how we interpret it and how we take that character in. But I get there is a vast difference from when you're reading subtitles and listening to the original language than when you're listening to dubbed of what the English translation you think it is. Like another good example is like Godzilla -1. Like, I love the sub version. I felt like I really connected to it. I watched dubbed with like my family, and I felt like I just wasn't able to connect to the movie the same way I did the first time.
Yeah, it's interesting because in this particular case, like I feel like they reanimated certain things for
Mhm.
an English version. So it's odd because it's not a dubbed version of the movie. It's they literally they gave us an English version of the film rather than an English dub version of the film for Nijai 1 and 2, I guess. And so much so that they added Michelle Yeoh, that's probably only primarily in the English version of the film. I don't think Michelle Yeoh was in the original Chinese version of the film. Um, and so the so it's kind of interesting to see like the changes that they make between the two versions, because like you were saying, if you were probably to watch the original Chinese version, there's probably a lot of dialogue that is vastly different from what we got from the English version of the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just interesting to see like what changes they decide and who makes those decisions to change dialogue. That sometimes when you're reading it, it feels like it takes on a different meaning.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%, 100%.
But yeah, as far as like the only gripe that I have with the second film is that because it was bigger, I will fault the runtime. It felt long.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the 2 hours and 20 minutes, I felt that 2 hours and 20 minutes. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great action set pieces in this movie,
Hmm.
specifically at the end of the movie. There
Yes.
was so much great stuff going on.
In
It
that
looked
dragon lair when he transforms at the end, I mean, there's so many great moments.
There's a lot of great moments, but specifically, like, there was stuff building to that I feel like that because we were kind of presenting an epic, it needed to be a longer movie, and I think to some of it, it was to its detriment, uh, because it felt long. It just felt like that we were just watching one cool action set piece to another, which can probably engage audiences to be like, "Oh, here comes another cool fight scene," and I'm all about that. I think if you take away 1 or 2, the movie doesn't change. Like, I think they were just kind of just cool fight scenes to show cool fight scenes,
Hmm.
even though we were building to a better story because he was on a journey to find the elixir, I guess, but he had to go through these challenges
To become
in
an
order.
immortal. Yeah, he had to go through the challenges to become an immortal to get the elixir to revive the lotus flower so that
Right.
um his friend
So they can
Albing
perfect.
so Albing can get his form back.
Right, exactly. And I feel like there was a lot of steps. Like there was a lot of story in here that even I was confused about. I was like, okay, so where are we now? How many people are there was a lot of characters interacting in this film. And so I feel like there were some moments I got lost, especially when they're like, "Oh, you're his brother and that's your father and this is the clan that you are." There was multiple people that are also animals that transform into okay, all right, so there's transforming animal tribe, and then there's this other one that you had to fight with a lot of water, like, it was a lot of things to keep up with
That was a
in
cool
this movie
scene.
that good.
That whole fight scene on the lake and under the water, it was pretty dope.
Yeah, it was dope.
Like,
Like,
but also, so I agree with you, and I think like they could have like shortened the rock monster one, even though you kind of need that because that's where you see like him like go full demon because this is after he learned that his town has been decimated and he's like
yes.
super angry and he's like just going fucking crazy on this rock monster. But then like the first one, maybe cut down or montage the first one because I don't
Yeah,
even
'cause
really remember it.
that's a good point. Yeah, the first fight scene when they were, like, still molding into their bodies, and they weren't supposed to fight, so, like, you had the townspeople basically fighting that fight, and, like,
Mm.
the other guy was, like, making all those rifts or, like, tears, and all those
Oh,
other
no, I
creatures
like
were
that
coming
one.
out.
Or maybe maybe I'm missing one, or maybe because wasn't the first there was a trial before he went to go fight the animal monster, right? Wasn't that, or did I?
Yes, there was another trial that one
Right, because
honestly
that
escaped
was
me
the
already.
second, because that one was the second trial,
The second one,
and then the
yes.
rock
Yeah.
monster was the third one. It's like, see, I don't even really remember the first one. Like they should have just did
Yeah.
like a quick, like bloop, hey, we did it, and then that would have been like 5 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, you could have, instead of having 3 trials, you could have maybe had 1 trial, but also we spent a lot of time also learning about these characters because he had to go and he's like, "Okay, we need all this stuff. Let's go meet these people, and then here's the journey that we have to go on," and so on and so forth.
Or maybe it's crucial to this 14th century literature. And maybe that's why this franchise does so well because it's saying true to the literature that it's based off of.
And that could very well be. I just think compared to the first movie, it's a lot of movie.
I
But
agree.
also that's
It's the
what
meat.
gives it
This is the second act. So this is all the meat.
this is a lot of movie.
There's a lot of there's a lot of movie. So that means the third one, it's gotta be at least only 2 hours. Can't be 2.5. We gotta wrap this show up.
Gotta wrap it up. Gotta wrap it up. At the end, he's Super Saiyan now, and we people are trapped and they're reforming plans, and I don't know. He's on a journey to be better or something.
He doesn't want to be the demon pearl anymore.
Yeah, no more kid demon.
No more
He's
kid
Super
demon.
Saiyan.
He's
all the
Super
time.
Saiyan. He's in control. It's on his wrist.
Which, yeah, honestly, that was an interesting bit. A lot of the marketing around this movie is this character that we see on the screen now. And now it looks like that he's made the full transformation. It doesn't seem to me that he's going to go back to his, I guess, kid version. I think this seems like an evolution that we're going to be sticking with his Super Saiyan version, I guess. And also just kind of like visual representation of like he's now more mature. He's
Mhm.
learned a lot over his lessons. He's been through a lot. Now, again, this is all spoilers. The passing of his mother at the was kind of a big moment in the film. And well, I guess his mom's in this pearl state. I'm not sure if she's actually dead or not, but
Well, I think she
it
essentially
seems like
is.
they
Like her physical form is dead and her spirit form has been reduced to
right.
that pearl. Although I have to say that scene was like the highlight of the entire movie. Like that, all the emotional depth was right there in that one scene when his mom dies, to when she breaks out of her like meditation pose to not get him to
Yeah.
take the oblivion pill, and like scolds that guy because he's trying to, and like just goes over the fact that like you're gonna force a child to choose between his life and his parents, like forcing him to make that decision. But then she essentially like sacrifices. That's the moment where she sacrifices herself. I mean, I don't know. I liked it, and like he needed that to have that emotional growth because then he just like he didn't care how much it hurt. He just ripped through that spell and like
Yeah.
thankfully the dragon lair was the heat that he needed to like help reform his body to where it needed to be. But then that led to like the epic final battle. I just thought that it was just like a great emotional moment. Like to me it was very well earned.
Yeah, and I think they teed it up very well in the beginning of the movie where he's about to start his journey and all his mother wanted was a hug. Like, "Hey, give your
Mm.
mother a hug before you head out." And he's like, "No, ma, no hug for you." And then
Yeah.
he goes on his flying pig. It's a weird movie, y'all. And so, and so then he goes off in his journey, and then we go all the way back toward the end of the movie where she sacrificed herself by giving him a hug, no matter how painful it might have been for her. Obviously, it was a deadly one, but like she just wanted to give her son a hug, and then that is ultimately like the linchpin of the film. And I think that was a good setup and a great payoff toward the end of the movie for him to like again break off the curse, kind of reform himself, and then have this epic final battle. And let me tell you, they have if I mean there's good chance they're making a third movie out of this, no matter how long it takes. They have their work cut out for them because this film was action packed.
Yeah.
I don't think we went more than 20 minutes at a time without another action set piece.
And it's also like some of this action setups I just thought were so inventive and so cool. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so we have the bad guy from the first one. I can't remember his name, but so at the beginning of the movie, they're talking to these other dragons, and the one of the dragons can split open the world and open like a portal. So
Yeah.
he could have just gave him the fang and he could just use it. But no, like they took that moment and he like split into a bunch of pieces and he made it into his sword. I don't know. I just thought it was like, it was just so cool. I just thought it was cool. Like
Yeah.
it was just very different. Like just not everything being so literal, like taking the epic fantasy and like taking it to the extreme. So now he has this sword that can like detach itself and like rip through time and space, and then that led to the scene where you see like literally lava falling from the sky and then
spewing out, yeah.
and then dried lava. Like it's just like the landscapes are just so inventive and beautiful. It was just really like it was just really pretty to just look at and just kind of be amazed by the animation that they were able to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's like, "Oh, this took you 6 years? I can see that."
Yeah, it's look,
Like,
you fucking earned that shit. Look at that. Look
yeah.
how beautiful it is.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, I think this is a huge contender for best animated feature, at least the nomination, because there's a lot of work that gets put into these. And I almost feel like in the same way that I feel like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, like you poured so much it looks like there's so much heart and so much creativity that was poured into the movie. Um that like you can't help but to just be in awe of what visually what you're looking at.
Mhm.
Whether or not you're fully into the story or not, like just visually it just looks amazing. And then also it's just so goddamn entertaining with every fight scene that comes in, the choreograph, and then again, the story was a little long for me, a lot of lore, but if you're into that kind of stuff, then you're like, yeah, let's keep building this world out because it gets richer and richer with every character you introduce, and the story gets more complicated. And but then it also just get reduced. Like the story is so big, but yet it then ultimately just comes down to uh the relationship between a son and his parents,
Mhm.
like and how much that is fueling him to, and also his friendship with what was his name,
Albing
Albing, yeah,
being
and
his
the
only
friendship
friend.
between him that he has, and like obviously the connection they have with the pearl and the pill, whatever they're
The
calling
Chaos
it.
Pearl. Chaos Pearl
They,
that splits between the Demon Orb and the Spirit Pearl. Yeah.
there you go. Okay, yeah. I don't know why they changed the name of the two. Whatever. Uh, but either way, like it was also kind of cool to see like another element to it of like his spirit was inside Neja. And so like it was kind of funny of seeing like a physical change
Yeah, in his face.
in his face when you can tell that Bing is in control, and then you have Nejai also in control whenever they were going back and forth. So visually, we were able to keep up with it. But I think it's kind of interesting to see both how they recognize that he was probably not a better person, but probably more equipped to handle the situation, and probably was a better skilled fighter to handle the situation, and almost relied on him to continue on this journey. Uh, and then you can see them working together as one, and then also separately, whenever they go
See,
after he finds the elixir for the flower.
and I really like that aspect of it because then like for a kid, first of all, seeing that physical representation. So now they're seeing like, oh, like when you act good, you are not that, you're that person, but when you act
Yeah,
bad, you're this person. Like there's a literal difference between who you are when you act like whenever you're having that feeling to be bad or be good. I don't know. I liked it. And then like you have that moment where he tells Al Bing like he doesn't feel like his brothers will accept him, so he sends Al Bing like his good side to meet with
Yeah.
them. But then after he talks with him, and you almost get that feeling like he regrets not being able to push through because he didn't think that his family would be there for him. But then,
Mhm.
like, I don't know, it's like, so then, like, it built this emotional moment between, there was a lot of those little moments between the two of them where, like Neja's learning from Al Bing, like,
Yeah.
how to incorporate the spirit pearl within his demon side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think we kinda get that resolution in a way toward the end of the film, where, again, they're still working together, and he's a lot more mature, he's in a Super Saiyan form now, and he was like, "Now we're gonna strive to make the world a better place." Like, he said, "There's a lot of corruption here, obviously, the people that we think that we can rely on is not the people that we think we should rely on because now they've been here for several years and then now they have selfish intentions of doing whatever they ought to do and kind of having control, and now they want to break that, and now they're like, I was able to break what I was always meant to be, now we can change that to the world."
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is so that if it's based off this 14th century literature, like how relative is that story today? Whether you're building yourself or realizing that the people who are in power may not have the best intentions. They may be
Yeah.
corrupted by the power itself. So I thought, I mean, that's still relevant today in our society. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting. And that could be, I think that's why it plays to the success. It's so epic, but yet the story is so translatable that so many people can like latch onto it. There's a story for everybody, for the kids. There's a lot of emotional depth for adults. So it kind of plays to such a wide audience.
Yeah, and I think now, again, it's inevitable. You make a 2.1 billion dollar film, you're making another one.
How grand is it going to be? Like I can only imagine like what they took a minor investment from what they made from the first one, and now they have all this for the third one. Like how they're like, fuck it, let's go, balls to the walls.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think now collectively, right? If we're putting the whole franchise together, if we're adding the two numbers up, this movie is now a $2.8 billion franchise off of $100 million budget.
Yeah, and this is just opening weekend. Like how long is it? How long is it in theaters for?
I can't imagine it being that long, to be honest with you. Maybe
Maybe a
this
couple
week only,
weeks.
maybe 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that in just a weekend. Like, come on, like,
Yeah. And also just as, like, again, like, to hear the numbers, $100 million collectively, $2.8 billion uh collectively worldwide between the two films. Like, those numbers are kind of unheard of when you think about it. And it's all coming from mainly one market.
yeah,
So like China loves this shit and they want more of this shit. Like, you know what I mean? So like I think I am really curious to see, like, in a way this is, I'm not comparing the two, but as far as an American audience, this is our Avengers. Like,
yeah.
Avengers, obviously a lot more money has been poured into it, but like for like, I mean, hell, I'm gonna look up Avengers. I don't think Avengers even made $1 billion in the US market.
But that
It was
and
more of an international.
I think the thing, kind of what we were just saying, I think the story's so good and it kind of translates to all audiences. Like this movie is a family event. Like I don't think there's an audience that is excluded that can watch this story. Like it's not like it's violent, but it's not like gory violence. And like I don't know, like
Right.
there's no bad language in it at all. Like it's in I you can
Yeah.
all markets can enjoy it. So it like, so think about theaters in China where like we're gonna take the entire family from like everybody from the 6-year-old all to grandma and grandpa. We're all gonna go together. So how many of them did that as a family event? I mean
Yeah.
that has to be part of the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, also, I'm just looking at Avengers Endgame to try to compare it to something. Even domestically, at the end of Endgame's run, domestically, it made $858 million. It never crossed the $1 billion mark.
Mm.
Like, I mean, a total worldwide, Avengers has made $2.7 billion, almost $2.8 billion. So, like, definitely made a lot of money. But like as far as a single market contributing to the film's success, even like Avengers Endgame was only 30% of the total gross came from the US. Only 30%. The rest, the other 1.9 billion, sorry, 1.9 billion came from an international market. So yeah, I think it's kind of crazy to see. And also like the fact that China only releases a handful of US movies a year,
Yeah.
like you can see how crucial that market is to a worldwide success. And how
Yeah.
also one like if Chinese audiences really are rallying behind a film, you can see the damage that they can make.
Yeah. They come together as society. Like everybody, required viewing. Go see this movie.
Go see it. Go see. Oh, you haven't seen it? I'll pay for you to go see this
Yeah.
movie. It's
Yeah. Here,
it's
you get a ticket.
oh,
You get a
you
ticket.
get
Everybody gets one free ticket.
yeah. It's like a cultural phenomenon in a way. I'm sure if we go to China right now, we're seeing billboards. Like I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm
Like I,
sure.
I could be wrong. I have no idea. But I'm sure that movie's huge
Yeah.
over there. And I think again, this is kind of the fun part about when we do our foreign films, and like you have no idea. Here in the US, you're like, Nija, what? What is this? What is this movie? Like you just I try to do an accent, I kind of
I
reverted
know.
back.
But you just kept going. But I love that you just came on. What, Nisha? What's this Nisha movie? Nisha 2?
Nija too? I need you two to go somewhere else. That's what I need you to do.
It's on Netflix?
Anyway.
They got subtitles? No, I ain't watching that. It's 2 hours? No way.
No. Give me. I want to watch Jurassic Park. Give me that again.
But
They got Shrek on Netflix. I watch Shrek. What about them Toy Story films? I love them toys.
all 4, especially the 4th one. Oh, that movie's so
I like the movie with the fish.
Yeah, give me the fit. Finding Nemo. Where'd he go? Papa's gonna find you.
Such a heartwarming story. Father looking for his fish.
Oh,
Yeah, that's for us, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone finds it funny, but we continue to find it funny.
yeah, we find it funny. That's kind of all
We
that
find it
matters.
funny. That's all that matters. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make you is that it's kind of crazy to think that there are other movies out here in the world that are are hugely successful, but yet on a U.S. market, if you're just solely looking at U.S. films, you would have no idea. It's kind of crazy again to explore that and like, why is this film a phenomenon to a certain culture? And kind of watching it, exploring it, seeing the themes, seeing the animation, and you can see it. You can see how and why they got here. Like, even though, yeah, at the end of the day, I really like this movie. I didn't love this movie. There's a lot of things I appreciate about this movie. A lot of things I really liked about this movie, especially with the animation and the
Mhm.
visuals that we saw in it. The story is not, 100% down for. I think they could have reduced it in scale, but overall, I can see how we got here. Though I
Yeah.
can see how we got to this. Like, this movie's purely an epic.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the grand size of it and how much passion they were putting into this project, and you can feel that when watching this movie.
I mean, it's good. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
bored. It may be it may be long, but it's not boring. Not at all. I think
Not even close.
no. I mean, you just wish it would just a little bit shorter. Like even if it was closer to the runtime of the first one. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's just because it's the middle, it's the second act, it's the second
Yeah.
story. It's they got us there because it does now. If you look at it as in like a trilogy, there is a lot of setup in the movie, especially like in the middle. Like we're seeing
Yeah.
all these other tribes and shit, and then we learn that that's this that was his brother, and then his dad, even though they're both. And then we get to the post credit scene, and he's still alive. And I just thought it was really random. The post credit scene, like, did you watch
Yes.
it? It was
Yes, I
really
did.
funny. I thought it was really funny, and it was just really random.
It was funny and random because you think, and it's kind of funny because most post-credit scenes, even in the first movie,
Mhm.
it wasn't a joke. It was like setting up for the next film. It was taking itself very seriously. And then they kind of did both. They were mixing in some comedic elements into it where he's like he had a beat up face and then the medicine worked and then they had to beat him up again so he can read this face recognition to get out of this. It was very a little bit convoluted. But then within all that, you get like this reveal that he's still alive. He captured his father. They're trying to use him for a different purpose that we'll probably see in the third movie. But then you also get these comedic moments where it's like, haha, this is funny. But also we're setting up for the third movie kind of in a way.
Yeah, you get like the whole facial recognition thing. Like,
Yeah.
he had to draw his face and he put the guy to sleep. And then in the time that he went into the cave and walked back out, his face had healed. And then you spend the rest of the time of them like beating the shit out of him to try to get
Yeah.
the facial recognition to register.
And then also people are waiting for him out in the like whatever they were. So like it was a weird mid credit scene, or I guess end credit scene. The first movie also had an end credit scene as well.
I don't know if I saw the one for the first one.
It was basically like the other dragons letting him know that, we can help. Like the dragon was telling the other dragons, like, we can help now. This your plan failed, but we have our plan of our own, and that was basically what started the second movie.
So that's the setup for the second
It
movie.
was the setup.
Yeah, I missed that completely.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it was kind of nice that I didn't have to wait 6 years to see the continuation.
Yeah, it was kind of like I literally finished the first one and then I walked into the theater to the second one.
Literally watching on your phone, you sit down and credits.
And here we go. And there go
we
the
go.
trailers. All right, there we
Yeah,
go.
there-
Good
all right,
time.
here it is. Here it Yeah, it's kind of cool, especially like it's also a different experience because again, you have a lot of people waiting 6 years. It's difference between you hyping the movie up for yourself of like, I love this first thing so much. Kind of in a similar way we can talk about like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That movie was such a great movie. We enjoyed it a lot. We waited so long for the second movie and it had so much hype and build up around it because of the success of the first movie. And then now we have our larger expectations going into it. And then now we're waiting a couple more years to get the third movie, and that's also building hype for ourselves as we wait until 2027 to watch the third Spider-Verse movie. And then there's other times where like I just watched the first one and I waited zero time to watch the second one. So that either will kind of heighten or lessen your expectations and experience because you're not building this franchise 6 years in the making.
Yeah.
It's literally hours, minutes, even.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I mean, at this point, like I've forgotten about Spider Verse. Like I'm gonna have to. I've seen it a few times, like since then, but like I'm really excited for it. But then when it comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, all right. Well, I'm gonna have to rewatch the last two just to even remember what the other one was about.
Yeah, it came out. I think it was 2018, then 2023, and then 2027.
Yeah,
So yeah, it takes time to make these movies, understandably so. And then when you get product like this, like when you get like this kind of a movie, like you can see where all the time went. You can see it in the animation,
yeah, worth the wait.
worth the wait. And then there's other movies like K-pop Demon Hunter that it was been making for 4 years and no one knew about it, and then it just pops on Netflix, and all of a sudden that's a cultural phenomenon. So much so that which we posted on our social media channels that it became number one in the box office for a movie that was already out on Netflix
Yeah.
for 2 months.
How wild is that? Like it's been on Netflix,
Crazy.
and then I don't know if you saw that I posted there was a video of like some sing along that they were doing,
Yeah.
and people are going fucking wild in the theater,
Nuts.
like going crazy for the sing along, like knowing all the words, like people dancing in the aisle, and it's like that plays to why it was number one in the box office. Like these sing alongs,
Absolutely.
they just work because like that kind of group setting, you have everybody singing along. It just like it's just a recipe for success.
It's funny because we mentioned this probably almost 2 years ago now when we briefly talked about Taylor Swift going into theaters and how well it did in the box office for that same reason.
Yeah.
There you have an audience that they love the music and they want to go into a setting that they can kind of scream to their heart's content in a theater, and it works. So yeah, and then obviously it kind of defied expectations and not making big swings in the box office, but it became Netflix's first number one movie in the box office just by for one weekend only
Yeah.
releasing a sing-along version. And I hope Netflix takes note of that because Netflix does make great movies.
Yeah.
Like, not all of them are great, but when they are, I think it deserves a theatrical release or some sort of release so people can enjoy it in the theaters. And I think they're taking note because now we're seeing that Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein that looks fantastic by the first trailer. I would love to see that movie in theaters. Like, if I have to watch it at home, that's great, and, a lot of people will probably wait to watch it at home, but if I have a chance to watch that specific movie in the theater, I wanna do that.
Yeah, and I look forward to doing that and making sure we lock that in before
Yes.
before it hits Netflix. I would love to see that in Dolby or even
Mhm.
just to see it in theaters in general would be great.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, let's wrap up, Ninja 2, your final thoughts and a five-star rating.
I thought it was great. I mean, I wasn't bored for the 2.5 hours. I do think it was long, but I mean, it was gorgeous to look at. Some of the most
Yeah.
beautiful action set pieces that I've seen, and just like some really inventive like animation throughout. Like just really beautiful to look at. I love the emotional depth at the end that it had. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yeah. I was kinda sitting anywhere between a 4, 4.5. It's a
I could
really good movie.
I could meet you at 4.5, 4.5.
Whoa, I said in between. Hold on.
Yeah, whoa, hey,
Whoa, wait,
don't go
hey.
jumping the gun here. Hey, I said
Yeah,
4.
yeah. Hey, I said in between. I hadn't made my decision.
All right.
I think a solid 4. I think a solid 4 is pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Like again, there's a lot to love about this movie. I think the runtime could have been reduced a little bit, but at the end of the day, like I was never bored with the movie.
I'd watch it
I was
again.
never bored.
And I'd
I
watch it
watched it
again.
again.
Like I would commit another 2.5 hours to watch this again.
Absolutely. Like honestly, I think in like a good like second act of a movie with like literally a minute long recap, I can watch this movie again. I have no, for my opinion, no reason to watch the first movie again.
I agree with you. I agree with that actually.
Yeah, I was like, you told me all you needed to tell of the important story beats in the like mini recap, and then now I'm ready for the second movie and kind of diving into that. And also the visuals are just like again, they've had a huge, I guess in this case, $60 million upgrade on their animation budget because this movie shows 100%. But yeah, I mean, a great again, you can see why this is a phenomenon over in China. This was a great animated feature, and I'm pretty sure that this is not the last time we're gonna be talking about this movie. I do think it's gonna be somewhere in the awards conversation once we get there later in the
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
So there you go. That's our spoiler review on Ninja 2. And now we're gonna be diving into our summer box office recap. But before we do that, we want to talk about kind of some of the bigger movies that came out during the springtime. So first one of those movies is going to be Captain America: Brave New World. As you can see here, at a budget of $180 million, it opened to $88.8 million, which is a pretty good opening for a Marvel movie with a worldwide gross of $415.1 million. And what's interesting is that even like none of the Marvel movies this year that we'll talk about later cracked $500 million, and that's kind of different for Marvel to see.
Yeah.
Like they're still spending the anywhere between the 180 to $200 million budget, but where they're not getting the 700 to $1 billion that they're used to. Like I don't know if this is a sign of the market kind of the need or the want or the times are changing of superhero movies. I don't think it's superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
I just think that the people's opinions on Marvel films has decreased over the years.
Well, I mean, this movie. First of all, this movie's not good. So
No.
let's start there. The issue with this one, and we talked about it when we reviewed it, is the marketing. Like just the way they marketed Red Hulk, like and just like when you watch the movie, you can tell that it had reshoots. This was in the middle of Marvel's restructure, and you can literally see it within the film. There's some people saying that it had to do with people not wanting Anthony Mackie to be Captain America. I don't think it has to do with that at all. I actually thought he was one of the, I actually really enjoy him as Captain America. It had nothing to do with him. It had to do everything with the marketing and just kind of like how this fucking movie was put together. Like, and just, it was this movie was a mess, and I think
It
that lends to the low box office numbers.
Yeah, and I think part of it, like you were saying, like I think marketing had hugely to do with this. I think that was the main gripe with the film, as well as it wasn't giving it positive feedback. I think it's in the rotten range right now in Rotten Tomatoes. So a lot of people probably looked at that as like, oh, this is not a good movie. I'm not going to go out to the theater and watch it. And I didn't see it really making any big waves when it hit Disney Plus either. So I think all around it was a little bit of a mess that it had to work with. Moving on to Mickey 17, a budget of $118 million. Opening weekend, 19 mil. That is a tough pill to swallow. Worldwide gross was 133 million, barely even cracked its budget.
Yeah,
Um,
not great. Although
it-
I
not
enjoyed
great.
it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I had my issues with the movie. I think you enjoyed it more than I did. This is Bong Joon Ho's newest film, coming off of the Oscar-winning Parasite movie. So I guess somehow either Robert Pattinson was not enough of a draw. Maybe the movie was a little bit too weird for people to dive in to the theaters. This was also again coming out around March time, not a popular time to go to the theater. Um, and I don't know. There was something about this movie that obviously did not resonate with audiences, so much so that I think they said that this movie lost about $100 million, if not more,
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy to think about. Like you had a lot of successes surrounding around this movie. It was based off of a book that was, somewhat popular. Again, starring Robert Pattinson and Oscar-winning Bong Joon-ho, who's had his own string of successes with his previous films. So spending $118 million on that seems reasonable. You would think at the very least you would crack, maybe 300, but I guess it just didn't resonate with people to go watch it to the theaters, unfortunately.
yeah, it's unfortunate. And
Uh,
and then there's a movie we didn't watch, which was the
yes, movie we
Minecraft
did
movie.
not watch. I have no care to watch, and yet again, a movie of a different generation that is not us, clearly. That movie is being a Minecraft movie. Had a budget of $150 million. Opening weekend, 162.7 million. Already surpassed its budget within the opening weekend with a worldwide gross of $955.1 million, very close to the $1 billion mark. I can only guess it was just a movie of a generation. A lot of people like Minecraft, they were going to go watch it regardless. A lot of people said this movie wasn't great. A lot of people said this movie wasn't bad. But at the end of the day, I can tell you this movie was not for me, and but yet it was for a lot of other people.
Apparently so.
Yeah, there's not much really to say.
I mean, I got nothing to say.
We have to
I
go
didn't
moving.
watch it, but a lot of people did. I mean, 955 million. I mean, it's for
No,
somebody. It's just not for us, apparently.
yeah, and also that's nothing to like scoff at. Like you almost have $1 billion movie on your hands.
Yeah.
There's probably a good chance it's getting a sequel.
Oh, I think
And
it's
no matter
more than
how
guaranteed.
stupid or ridiculous it is, clearly there's an audience there who want to kind of be into it. Also, there was a lot of hype around the chicken jockey of it all, and a lot of
Oh
kids
yeah,
were bringing in actual animals
yeah.
into the theater, as well as just destroying the theaters during that scene. I don't know how or why that became a thing, but
It's a TikTok
again,
thing.
this is either a positive or a negative for the movie, but for the studio, it's making money, so I doubt they.
Yeah, I don't think they care. I mean, I'm sure they cared to a certain extent that people were destroying the theaters. I mean, it came to a point that they had to put signage up about that you had to like have an adult with you to go see the Minecraft movie because kids were
Yeah,
fucking destroying theaters, being ratchet.
which is sad that it came to that point. And I know social media is only going to highlight the one theater that got destroyed rather than the majority of them that are probably okay, but still.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
unacceptable to be acting that way in a theater. Other people are trying to enjoy the movie. They don't want you to start screaming and yelling. So much so, also in some cases, they actually leaned into it a little bit because they were actually doing chicken jockey screenings that were encouraging, not destroying the movie theater, but also encouraging like a more active audience, kind of very similar to like a sing along.
Yeah, yeah. Now that would be an
So
interesting experience, almost like like how when people go watch Rocky Horror Picture Show, like you
yes,
scream out, you make the movie an event.
yeah, and that's basically what they did at the end of the day. And then kind of wrapping up the spring season was Sinners, had a budget of $90 million, had an opening of $48 million. A lot of people are like, "Oh no, this movie's not doing great." Ryan Coogler don't got it no more. He's out of Marvel, blah blah blah. And then at the end of the day, he still ends up coming out with $365.8 million for an original horror film from a black director.
Yeah,
Like,
they're tripping. That movie is fucking incredible. That movie's so
the movie's
good.
fantastic.
So fucking
And I think it was a lot of positive word of mouth that was surrounding this movie as well. That gave people like repeated viewings as well as it had a strong second week. I remember reading it only declined like 22%, which is unprecedented. Most movies have a 50% or more drop off in the second week, and this one only had like a 22%. It was like really, really close to opening day numbers. And so I think all that positive word of mouth and also a huge support within the black community of like, oh, we had to go watch this movie, kind of contributed to its success financially. Of like, and I think this is great, and we'll talk about this a little bit more with Naked Gun in the same fashion of like, Naked Gun wasn't original, but like, sorry, not Naked Gun, I apologize. Weapons,
Mm.
of like you have an original horror movie that is attracting a lot of attention, for people to warrant to go see in the box office, and this is the type of attention we need. We need people to support original films so studios will see the justification behind it and then continue to make more. Like these low, mid-level budgets to then come out with a big reward and
Yes.
supporting great films in the process.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and Sinners is no different. I mean, it was an incredible film. It was refreshing. It was just a
Yeah.
refreshing. Like you just think it's just so much more than just a simple like monster vampire movie.
Absolutely. There's so much detail, so much hidden meanings within it all. Ryan Coogler knocked it out of the park. And even Michael B. Jordan playing double roles, like
Yeah,
a lot of contributing factors to the movie's success.
some of the
And
best
also, I think
CGI
the
I've ever seen.
explanation of the premium formats too.
Yes, yes,
I think that had a lot to do with it too, because it was also one of the fewer movies that was made with like real IMAX cameras. And even Ryan Coogler came out to say like, here's the differences of why you should watch these movies in premium formats, and that had also a strong factor. Like movies were selling out, so they can see it in like the prime IMAX screen.
yeah. Like looking for the making sure you're seeing it IMAX or, I mean, it's some of the best CGI I ever seen. Like you almost
Mhm.
forget that Michael B. Jordan's playing two different roles.
Yeah, you really do. But anyway, that's a recap of our spring season. Now we're going to be diving into our summer blockbuster recap. And the first movie to kind of kick off the summer, and so I'll start here, then we can go back and forth from there.
Okay.
Uh, but the first movie to kick off officially the summer, in my opinion, was Thunderbolts, or with an asterisk, the New Avengers. Had a budget of $180 million. It was projected to make about 70 to 75 mil. It kind of r- opened right there on the higher end of the projections with 74.3 million. Had a worldwide gross of $382.4 million. Came in a little bit under Captain America: Brave New World, which again had 415.1 million. But also, kind of, I think about it, you had an original, like we just talked about Sinners, who had a worldwide gross of $365.8 million. Now, here's a Marvel movie that just made slightly above that. Like, I think that just shows the times that we're in right now.
Yeah.
People rather see an original horror movie than see another Marvel movie in theaters, specifically in theaters.
Yes.
And the budget was double the budget. So like when you see like, because again, as we talk about all these numbers, a good rule of thumb is that if the movie made more than two and a half its budget, then it's considered a financial success because there's also marketing involved within the budget as well. So you have the initial production budget, then you probably around doubling the fact of around that time that you whatever you probably put on your production budget is probably similar to where you're putting in your marketing budget, and then again the half is just kind of give it the extra push. So with a movie like Sinners, two and a half times its budget is 225 million. So looking at a $365 million uh, total worldwide gross for Sinners, it has made more than 140 million in the profit margin. So like
Yeah.
it's doing really well for itself. But then a movie like Thunderbolts, for example, it needed $450 million to be in the profit margin. And you can see there that's not quite it.
And what's really sad is that Brave New World made more than Thunderbolts, but I think Thunderbolts is a better movie.
It is.
Like I think,
100%.
like to me, like this is out of all the three Marvel movies that came out this year, Thunderbolts was absolutely my favorite. And it was just a, I don't know, it was a great story. I don't know. It just this. I think it's just handcuffed by this massive budget it had.
Yeah, and I think also part of it is that you took a gamble on basically this is everyone's now starring like first starring Marvel movie where they were kind of on the sidelines. Like for even for Winter Soldier, who is probably our most seasoned Marvel MCU actor, Sebastian Stan, playing the Winter Soldier for quite some time now, since the first Captain America movie. The Captain America Brave New World had more of a leg up because you had the Captain America name on it. People knew Captain America as a film franchise. So like, oh, I'll go watch a Captain America movie. You know what to expect there. With Thunderbolts, you had to have know who Bucky was. You had to have seen Black Widow to even understand who Yelena and Red Guardian is. You had to have watched Winter Soldier to understand this character. You have to remember the villain in Ant-Man the Wasp to understand the Ghost character, and then you have Taskmaster who's in there for 5 seconds, but also introduced in Black Widow. So like, it's predicating on the bones of other movies that you've seen these characters in to push a new movie forward. And if you didn't watch any of those movies or didn't care about any of those movies, you didn't care about this.
Yeah, but I don't think that you need to watch the other movies to fully appreciate this movie. I mean, yeah. Well, I take
I
that
agree.
back. Yeah, like if you wanted full context, obviously, to watch everything else leading up to this would help you understand it the most. But it's not necessary for the enjoyment of this film. I feel.
I don't think it's necessary, but I think as far as like getting people to go to the theater, there was nothing
Yeah.
outstanding visually to be like, "Oh, I remember." No, I don't. I don't know who you are. Like Marvel movie is like you want to go out. Like even Fantastic Four, all these characters are brand new, but the name Fantastic Four is recognizable. So you're going to go out to see that. But like
Mm.
Thunderbolts, I don't know what that is. What's a Thunderbolt?
What's a
The thing
thunderbolt?
from
Who
the thing
now?
from the sky.
Now the Avengers. What? Who are the new of it? What about the old Avengers? Are they dead?
Yeah. I think it was a gamble on Marvel's part.
I
And
agree.
again, it was a great movie to come out of it. But that doesn't mean that people are going to go out to go see a great movie. It happens all
I think over time, I think the feeling surrounding this movie will change over time.
100% agree with that.
All right. So let's move on to a movie we didn't see in the theaters, but was I would say pleasantly surprised to
Yeah.
when we did get to go see it. So we're talking about Final Destination Bloodlines, budget of 50 million, projected opening 35 to 40 million, actual opening weekend was 51.6 million with a total worldwide gross of 287.1 million dollars. This is a movie we actually talked about last week. Matt and I saw it on a plane. Well, I saw it on the plane. Matt saw it, I'm assuming, when you got back or
Yeah,
at
I
some
got it
point.
home. Yeah.
This was a kind of like a refreshing re-entry into this franchise, and I was pleasantly surprised. I expected like nothing from this, and even when
Yeah.
it opened, I was like, wow, it's we were surprised at some of the numbers it was getting. I don't think I expected it to like not do anything at all. But then
Yeah.
I didn't even see it until recently when it dropped on. I watched it on HBO Max on the plane. Yeah, it was a great movie. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it kind of again, I think it surprised a lot of people. I'm trying to go back right now to see the actual box office, like if it hit number one or not. I think it did. Go back a bit more. I think it opened to number one, and if it did, then I think it came to a surprise because it was the movie that very quickly surpassed Thunderbolts in opening weekend. A lot of big movies didn't come out around that time because Thunderbolts was like a new Marvel movie was coming out. A lot of movie theaters kind of give it a 2 week buffer. But in this case, you put out a what's it called? You put out a no, there was a 2 week buffer for this movie. Yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, there was a 2 week buffer for this movie. So like 2 weeks later came out. The Thunderbolts came out. Then 2 weeks later, you had Destination Bloodlines, and I think a lot of people were expecting that Thunderbolts would probably be number one that weekend. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, like people are like, oh. Final Destination, I know that movie. I'm gonna go support it. And it got positive reviews. I think that was a big factor for a lot of people to go rush to the theater. And then all of a sudden it made 50 mil opening weekend. You're like, whoa, what's going on here? And then we actually watched it, and it was actually really good. And it's kind of crazy because I haven't really been keeping up with this movie in particular when it comes to the box office. It's crazy how much it made at the end of the day. $287.1 million. That is needed 125 to make a profit. It currently stands at $162 million in a profit margin. Like that's what movie studios want. This
Yeah.
is again, these are the movies that we want to support because one, they're good movies. So like we talked about this movie extensively on last week's episode. But the fact that this ended up being a good movie was a bonus. And I think that's what drove people in the theater because at the time you came off Sinners, there wasn't this is the next horror movie to come out, a recognizable franchise, kind of in a comeback. And I think this shows that there's still fuel around this franchise as long as you make it good and refreshing and especially with a modest $50 million budget, that's a huge turnout for that movie. And these are the kind of movies that movie studios should be investing in to hopefully come out with a turn like low risk, high reward.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, in this obviously lens, they're more than likely going to probably make another one of these.
Oh, yeah, I think they already announced they're making another one for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I mean, this is a win, a big win for horror this year.
Yeah.
A lot of like movies that have like kind of a lot of horror movies that have like lowerish budgets getting huge turnouts for it, and then again showcasing that like people are starving to watch horror movies in the theaters. That's a great communal experience. In
Yeah,
the theater,
Sinner set it up. Then we had the Bloodlines, and then later we're going to talk about Weapons.
Yeah.
And even 28 years later, like it was just a good.
Oh yeah, that's a great example too.
Yeah, it's a great year for horror.
Now moving on to the biggest movie of the summer, we have Lilo and Stitch, and these are the numbers coming off of a 4-day holiday weekend. It had a modest budget of $100 million, and I'm pretty sure a lot of that budget was going just to animate Stitch.
Yeah.
Because he looked fucking great. Had a projected opening of 150 to 160 million dollars within the 4 days. It well surpassed that and gave it 183 $1 million opening weekend. Currently has a worldwide gross of $1 billion. Clearly the only movie to hit $1 billion this summer, and only the second movie to hit $1 billion this year, behind Neja 2, which made now 2.1 billion. I think there's no surprise. I mean, again, we talked about this movie. This movie wasn't great by any means. I think it has its flaws. It's a fun movie to watch with the kids.
Yeah.
A very digestible live action remake. It had enough differences to make people either love it or hate it, depending on how you feel about the ending. But overall, it's a fun movie for the kids, and people love Stitch.
Yeah.
This was a slam dunk for Disney.
I mean, I remember going to the theaters and seeing people like dressed up in Stitch outfits. Like going to see this movie was an event that weekend. Like it was just a sea of Stitch blue. People dressed up in blue makeup, like wearing the Stitch ears, like the full nine. Like this movie was an event that weekend.
And the movie theater merch surrounding this, there's so much merch around it, and most of it's sold out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. The fact that Disney had not done this earlier was kind of baffling to me. But I also think it came at a good time for Disney because they were not making, Marvel's not doing as hot as it wants to be right now on there. Like they needed $1 billion win. Last year it was Inside Out 2 and Daredevil, Deadpool and Wolverine. This year they got Lilo and Stitch. So Disney's doing just fine. They don't need $1 billion.
And I'm not one for the live action remakes, but I know there's some contention with the ending of this movie, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think overall it was like good enough, and it's already on its way to getting a sequel.
Yeah.
So again, in the profit margin, you need to make $250 million, and it made 750.
I think it did that. I think it was able to achieve that.
I think so too, and I think honestly, again, keeping the budget low. This is going to be the theme of all of this as we talk about the next movie in a second.
Yeah.
Like you keep the budget low enough to compensate with a high reward, and
this one did not. So we're talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Also, we're talking about that Labor Day weekend. Oh, a modest budget of $400 million. a projected opening of 75 to 85 million. I actually, now looking at it, like that seems like a low number. Like it seems
Yeah,
like they should have wanted to have a higher projected opening if they wanted to
absolutely.
make their budget. In opening weekend, it actually made their projected. It only made 77 million, ending at a total worldwide gross of $597.9 million. So clearly did not make it past the 2.5 of what they needed to make.
It needed to make it $1 billion to be profitable.
Yeah, and this was not that. And I mean, it was fine. There were some good. There was a couple of good action set pieces, but it was way too long, and it had like the ending was like weird. I don't know. It was like too cheesy for me.
Yeah, I feel like the final reckoning was a little bit of a disappointing one. The movie was extremely long, and I feel like it leaned too seriously and less fun
Yeah,
uh, for what we kind of come to expect from a Mission Impossible movie. They had two major action set pieces, and in the middle of it, it was just something just felt off about it the entire time. I mean that this budget's ridiculous, 400 million. It could have been filmed during COVID, but I know the first, like the Dead Reckoning Part One, I guess it's just now called Dead Reckoning. Um, like I know that also had a high budget, but the fact for a movie studio to justify the budget of the film, knowing that none of this movie in this franchise has ever made $1 billion, and I think at most might have hit the high 700, maybe low 800 range. Like, there's no way that just off rip that this even justified a $400 million budget.
yeah,
But yet, I mean, the studio is probably respecting Tom Cruise and everything he's done um, for for Hollywood, and like that's probably out of respect for him. But there was no way that looking at that budget, this movie was going to be in the profits at all. This was just a big here's a big finale for the Mission Impossible franchise that did not feel like a finale at all.
What it almost underwhelms the franchise because
Hmm.
they could have gone, and we talked about it when we reviewed it, but there's an aspect of the ending that they didn't take. They had an opportunity to make a more impactful ending, and they chose the cheesier ending instead. And I think that also played to like it's just like really like all this leaning, and that was the final reckoning. It's like get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here.
I think also, like, I know they were probably targeting different audiences, but I think it would have benefited from not opening up against Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
It opened up the same weekend, the same holiday weekend. You would have pushed it back a week later. Like, there was nothing really coming out that week. I think you would have benefited a little bit more by just pushing your release by 1 week, because then you would have gone up against the Karate Kid Legends, which completely different audiences without the pressure of like there's no way this movie was ever gonna make number 1. I think it opened at number 2, but,
Yeah.
like, I think you could have attracted a different audience, or a little bit more of an audience, if you just would have pushed this back an extra week.
No, but they thought Tom Cruise he could nail Labor Day weekend. It's not correct.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely showed Top Gun: Maverick was a huge movie, but yeah, you can't that's a genie in a bottle there. Not You can't always replicate that success.
That's true, and I think that movie proved that.
Yeah. Moving on to Karate Kid Legends, had a budget of $45 million, projected opening of about 25 to 30, came in pretty a little under at $20 million opening weekend, with a grand total of $112.5 million. Quite surprising, this movie did crack. Given the low box office opening, it still ended up cracking $100 million, which is nothing to scoff at. And the profit margin, it actually made exactly to the budget. Like,
Yeah,
2.5 of 45 is 112.5. I shit you not. I just did the math right now. That is exactly what it is.
that's funny. Like we're almost
Uh,
there. Come on,
like,
go. More people go see this movie.
we broke even, folks.
Come on, we made
Uh,
it. We made a Karate Kid legend. We did it.
I think at the end of the day, we talked about this too. The movie didn't need to exist. You had a successful TV show. I don't think you needed this. And I
No.
think that shows of people like, oh, I remember I watched my Karate Kid at home. Why am I watching it in the theater? And they were trying to bring back Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, and even their roles in the film, even though it was marketed differently, that they had a larger presence. They did not.
No.
And there was a whole other movie that was not shown in the trailer. And like you put a lot of effort on this kid who was good. He was a good karate kid. But it was just a weird story surrounding it. And
I
but
liked
at
it.
the end of the day,
I
it
liked it,
got.
Matthew.
I did not.
I know you didn't.
I
I
did
just
not.
like it was like a good cheesy kids action film, and I think that's what it was like a good cheesy action film for kids of today, as opposed to making them watch something old, making them watch like a classic, like a good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it was.
And I think at the end of the day too, like again, it was they were, trying to get up the hype of Cobra Kai. And so they took a chance, and at the end of the day, they just, they probably broke even on it. It's like, well, we tried. It
It
didn't,
worked.
didn't really, it
I guess
worked
it
enough.
worked. It
I don't
made
think they're making a sequel.
no, but I don't think it's meant for a sequel.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so at all.
Here's a sequel. Well, I don't know if you watched it, but I didn't
Nope.
watch it. We're talking about Ballerina. Budget of 90 million, projected of 30 million. Opening weekend only made 24.5 with a worldwide gross of 133.8 million. It did not make what it needed to make. And I
No.
didn't. I don't know. I get it. It didn't do well. I don't know why.
No.
I don't. I was interested, but just I don't know. There's too many other good things that came out this summer that this one just kind of fell short.
Yeah, it really did. And I think it opened at number 3 at the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken. So it didn't even hit number 1. I just don't think there was a need for this movie to come out. You're just trying to go off with the success of John Wick. Obviously, you put John Wick forever, probably a brief cameo in the movie. You still put him on the poster just to make sure, hey, John Wick's in this movie. But I think they're just trying to capitalize on the franchise. Yet there was nothing story wise why this movie needed to exist. Like I don't think it was. Now this is coming off the fact that we haven't seen the movie, so but I think it just also just goes to show like we didn't support it in the theater because I didn't feel like it needed to happen. Now I could watch this movie at home and have a different opinion on it. However, like at the time, like what movie I'm going to watch in theater, this one kind of fell to the wayside because we know that there are other John Wick movies that are in the works that makes a little bit more sense because that's what the story presented. But here's this brand new character that we have not seen in any of the movies, and we're giving Ana de Armas a platform to kind of showcase her action skills. And I don't mind seeing this movie eventually at home, but there was really no rush for me to see in the theaters.
Yeah, like I was interested to go see it because I like Ana de Armas. I mean, she was in 007, so she
Yeah.
does well in like action settings. And I saw video. I mean, she did like actual training for this film and for some of the stunts. But
Mhm.
I don't. For me, it was just there were just too many other heavy hitters coming out this summer, and I just didn't. By the time I had thought about to get it, something else was coming out, and it was getting ready to go out of theaters, and I just never made it. There was just too many other things. There's too many other great movies going out.
Yeah, and again, to be in the profit margin around 225, definitely far from it. So,
Yeah.
um, I think this wasn't a huge drive for a lot of people to go and check out this movie in a very crowded box office season.
This would have been better as like a early spring release.
Yeah, early spring or even like right now would have been a great time to release that movie.
Post summer,
Post-summer.
as we're leading out of summer, like
Yeah.
this weekend, like would have been really I agree. Would have done really well.
100%. And it's funny because sometimes you think about certain movies that like this movie would have done a lot better if you didn't try to make it a summer release.
Yeah. Like there's
Yeah.
just some like maybe your movie's great, but like summer movies are just like they're a different breed. So many there's so many other movies to compete with because
Yeah.
that's prime going to the movie theater time. The time of the year is in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Prime going to the summer movies, How to Train Your Dragon, I believe, is that movie. It had a budget of $150 million. Is it my turn or your turn?
It's your turn. I did
Oh, it is.
Ballerina.
Okay. Had a budget of $150 million. Projected opening around 70 to 80 million. Came above expectations or projections at 84.6 million with a worldwide gross of 626.8 million dollars worldwide. It kind of just shows how much legs this franchise had. Also having 3 animated movies. This is DreamWorks' first live action remake. One of the best films in their catalog of one of the best DreamWorks animated films they have in their catalog. Decided to make this live action remake. You brought in the same director. You brought in some of the same voice actors. And I think it shows. It played really well. A lot of people enjoyed this movie. You watched this movie for the first time
Mhm.
without even seeing the animated films. Um,
I did.
it needed to make $375 million to be in the profit margin. It made nearly double that. So I think, yeah, they had a big win on their hands with this live action remake.
I mean, and it was another one. It was really beautiful to look at. And I told you, Matt, we went with the whole family, and then we were all excited. We all got to see it, and I mean, even though I literally missed the best part of the movie, but
Yeah.
that's all right. I missed how he trained his dragon. Unfortunately, my kid had to go pee, and I had to go take him, so I missed the best part of the movie. But that's all right. I'll see it whenever it eventually comes to streaming. Because even without seeing that part, I really enjoyed the film.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy to think that even like some of the bigger releases this year with How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch, both being live action remakes, there's still an audience.
Yeah.
People still come out to see movies they've already seen,
Yeah,
just in a different setting. And that's why studios keep making these movies, because it comes out with these turnouts.
and sometimes they work. Sometimes they work really, really well, and then sometimes they're just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if the movie's good or bad. People are going to come out, and that's what studios know.
Yeah,
Like they see a recognizable name, and they will show up to the theater regardless. And I think this was a good gamble on DreamWorks' part to kind of like give this stuff a live action treatment. So much so that before even the first movie came out into theaters, they already greenlit a second movie.
yeah. And then they're
So,
obviously going to greenlight the third one, and
of
we're
course,
just we're on the train for the trilogy, the live action trilogy of this one.
which is probably again being made by the same director to do all three animated and all three live action. So this man loves his dragons.
He loves the dragons, but I think that's a testament to him, just how committed he is to to that franchise. It's like, I started this thing, like, he doesn't feel comfortable just handing it off to somebody else. He wants to finish what he started, and I respect that. Like, if they're gonna do a remake, like, try to have the original person do it, so you can stay true to the original vision as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just like for me watching this movie is like I've seen this movie.
Like, I
Like it
literally
was
have seen this movie.
I've seen this. I liked it the first time. I liked it again. Like that was one of my like thoughts about it. Is like, is a good movie a good movie if it's already a good movie? Like it's the same movie, same people behind it, and they just did it again, and I still like it. So is it good? Does that mean it's good? I don't know. That's a conundrum I have with my internal self.
But
But
then
regardless,
But then people say the same thing about the Lion King movie, that it's almost exactly the same, but
it sucked.
it sucked. Where's what was missing from that this movie had?
Better animation.
This one had dragons.
That one had lions. No one liked lions. Everyone likes dragons.
That's probably what it is.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. No one likes lions. They all like dragons. That's what it is.
Moral of that story. All right. So now let's talk about an original film that came out this summer. We're going to talk about The Materialist, with a budget of $20 million, projected of $8 to $10 million, opening of 11.3, and a total worldwide gross of 85.1. And this is like a very great. I love this movie. I thought it was great. We reviewed it. We gave it 5 stars. It was just nice to see like an original story rom-com just smacked in the middle of this blockbuster summer.
Yeah, and again, we literally talked about the opposite with Ballerina, where like I think would have benefited from an August, like kind of fall, either early spring, late fall, early fall release. Materialist, this movie is primed for that fall season. Yet they decided to release it in the summer, and given the numbers, it did fairly well for itself
Yeah.
in a crowded market because of its low budget. It needed to make $50 million to be in the profit margin, and it made $35.1 million more in the profit. It made $35.1 million in the profit margin. That's pretty good for a crowded, summer season, and also because movies don't come out in the summer. Like this is your classic like rom com, more on the more romance and drama side of it all, but still like in a crowded market, but also I think has some heavy hitters. You got Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans. Like
They had good chemistry,
uh,
and I think a lot of that played to not only their individual performances, but also how just collectively they played off of each other. I think that Dakota
Absolutely.
Johnson paired very well with Chris Evans, and she also paired well with Pedro Pascal. Like, I don't know, it was just great dialogue. It was just a great story. I was here for it. I really, really enjoyed it.
yeah, again, here's like this amalgamation of like it just worked for a summer release, and maybe it could have made more outside of it, but a lot of people are already going to the theaters anyway.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, let me just watch this movie in addition to all the other big blockbusters because it's a little bit different than what we're used to." And it did bring a lot of attention. We did have certain people come to us and be like, "You like this movie as too much than I did," but it sparked a conversation.
Yes.
That means people were watching the movie in the theaters. So I think that has something to say.
Yeah, and
Whether it's the actors that brought him in, the story, or the writer director, Celine Song, she's coming off of Past Lives.
yeah, I mean, and it just played like there was just so many good movies that people were coming back. Like this was a good another option. This was a good like date night, rom com, like
Absolutely.
movie night option.
That's a really good point. A great date night option, which I don't think a lot of these movies we talked about prior were date night films. Like
Yeah,
these were
not like this next film we're gonna talk about.
28 years later, reuniting Alex Garland and Danny Boyle, coming off of a franchise that more or less just could have stayed dead after 28 days and 28 weeks later, but take a good gamble, and it was a good I guess good return off of it. Already spawning two more movies to follow shortly after this. Had a budget of $60 million, had a projected opening of 28 to 30, opened right on the high end of the projection at $30 million, with a grand total worldwide gross of $150.4 million. So I think it's just under. No, actually, no, it's not. 60 times 25,
Yeah,
150, right on the money.
right on the money.
Right on the money. Made $0.4 million of a profit.
It's got some change.
Got some change. It made its budget back and a little bit extra.
Yeah. Oh, here's some pocket change for you.
Here's some pennies.
Yeah.
Here's a quarter for your life.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this movie was, we had our we had things we liked about it. We had a few things we didn't like about it, but I think overall it was a good solid horror movie to introduce in the summer, and also bringing back a franchise that was otherwise dead. And I think it brought a lot of people to be interested in what this movie had to offer when you especially brought back the original writer director.
Yeah.
To
I
kind of
enjoyed
run
it.
with.
This is one that I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah, and again, keeping the budget modest and then coming out with it kind of breaking even. It's like I think this is a proof of concept, and I think the other movies that are to follow could probably share this similar budget. And then another good horror offering to come out in the summer because again, we were talking about Final Destination basically being the last horror movie to come out in the summer, and then you had 28 years later. Still, people are kind of hungering for a horror movie, and so this is kind of the latest movie in the summer to do that. And it came out, again, breaking even, not too bad.
Well, here's a movie that didn't break even. We're gonna talk about
Got
Elio.
it.
Budget 150 million. Projected open 25 to 30 million. Only opened at 20 million with a worldwide gross of 152.2 million. And that's very, very sad because I actually really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it deserved the hate that it got. There was a lot of contention with like directors changing, and then we had America Ferrera who dropped out of the project, and
Yeah.
like this was during the middle of Disney's shakeup. Apparently they made changes to the story and kind of just changed the direction of where the film was supposed to go. But at the end of the day, like I enjoyed this movie for what it was. I thought it was a solid kids movie to come out in the middle of the summer. I mean, it's no Inside Out 2, but it was good.
I really enjoyed this movie. I mean, I still tear up at the end of it all.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of heart behind it. It is sad because, again, look at that budget. That's why the movie was a financial, you know, not a disaster, but it didn't do as well.
It's technically a flop.
150. Yeah, you're right. It is technically a flop in some ways. 150 is too high. Too high of a budget. I think Pixar is not the franchise or the studio company that it used to be, making these hits after hits after hits. Obviously, we had a huge win last year with Inside Out 2, and we had a sleeper hit with Elemental. We also thought that was a great movie as well, but it had a really low opening weekend, but it was able to creepily get up there over the weeks, and I think it ended up making like close to $400 million in the box office. Double check on those numbers, but it did really well over time, but didn't reflect that in opening weekend. A lot of people thought that Elio might have done the same. However, it didn't. I mean, it still cracked the $100 million mark. Still, like people still came out to support it. It had positive reviews around it. We were kind of late to the game on this one. Not really that late, not the point that it come to streaming, but it gave us like a good week or two. I think around week 3 we actually watched this movie in theaters.
Hmm.
Um, but like, yeah, I don't think this movie was marketed well, in my opinion. Like going off the marketing, I didn't know what this movie was about, nor did I have any interest in watching it. But I support Pixar, and I was really blown away with what we got at the end of the day. Wasn't the best Pixar movie I've ever seen, but is also not the worst one I've seen. It's kind of sitting in the middle there. So I think just lack of word of mouth, lack of what this movie is, lack of marketing didn't drive a lot of people to the theater, which is crazy because there wasn't a lot of animated or family films offering around that time. And Pixar typically comes out in the summer, so you would think that you're giving an option for the kids to go watch. No, they didn't even do that,
Mm.
unfortunately.
I
So
have I have
yeah,
these numbers here for you. So we're looking at Elemental versus Elio, right?
yeah,
So Elemental opening weekend, domestic 29.6. At that point, worst opening in Pixar's history.
yeah.
Globally, 44.4 million. Let's see, cumulative gross 154.2 million to 155. Internationally, 330 to 341. Worldwide, 484 to 496. It started as a box office disappointment and then strong word of mouth and minimal weekly drops, often less than 40% after the opening weekend. It achieved a 5.2 multiple of its opening weekend domestically, a rare feat for an original animated film.
Yeah.
South
And
Korea was a key international market, which made sense because the director was South Korean.
mm,
Due to the cultural resonance within the peak with director Peter Son's Korean American background, the film's $200 million production budget, excluding marketing, required approximately $450 million to break even. It surpassed this, making it profitable. Now we look at Elio domestically, 21 million, lowest opening in Pixar history, surpassing Elemental's previous record of 14 million internationally, 35 million globally. Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people were hoping that maybe Elio would have followed the same path as Elemental. Clearly, it did not. And I think it was just not enough positive word of mouth, and also it just had, I think it was just marketed poorly, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
next year, you have 2 Pixar movies coming out. One, Hopper, another original idea,
Hmm.
and then probably where all the money's going to is Toy Story 5.
Yay. Can't wait. Can't wait to
And
see what movie we don't need.
we will be talking about that movie
Oh,
next year.
I already know. I'm already mentally prepared to having to talk about Toy Story 5, even though it should have ended at 3, which is
I can't wait to have this
I
conversation.
know you can. We love to talk about it. The movie that should have never happened. We're living in the timeline where they keep making Toy Story movies.
Yes.
All right. But you know what?
All right.
Let's talk about this movie.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's go back one. There a movie that we
Oh,
it
yes.
was so
Yes.
memorable we forgot to make a graphic about. I want to quickly talk about Megan 2.0, which again it didn't even open in the top 3. It opening at number 4. It was crazy because when upon making this, I completely brushed over this movie. This movie was basically a box office failure, unfortunately. Well, I wouldn't say a failure, but it definitely did not make as much as they thought they were going to make. So, talking about Megan 2.0, had a budget of $25 million, had a projected opening of about $20 million. It didn't. Opening weekend was significantly less than that at $10.2 million with a worldwide gross of $39 million. To say this movie was a huge disappointment without for a movie that I haven't even seen yet financially was like they took a huge gamble. I think the biggest risk was the film changed genres. It went from a horror film to like a
Mm.
action film, and for whatever reason, uh, it did not translate with audiences to want to return. And I think reading here, what was the first movie's return?
Okay,
I think the
so we had the projected opening weekend for Megan 2.0 in the US and Canada was estimated at 20 million across 3,000 theaters. The actual performance fell significantly short, with the film grossing 10.2 million domestically and 17.1 globally during the opening weekend, placing it at I believe, what did you say, fourth or fifth?
Fourth.
Fourth. Okay. This is a sharp decline compared to the original Megan of 2023, which opened at 30.4 million domestically and earned 180 million worldwide against a $12 million budget.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Opening weekend had already made back its budget and then some.
Yeah.
Like, it was already profiting after the first weekend. So you don't blame the studio after you get $180 million return to make a sequel to that. And also, they went from a $12 million budget to a $25 million budget, a very small increase. I mean, small enough. I mean, you doubled in size for your budget, but like, it's a sequel. It makes more sense. Even doubling your budget, um, it's still really low, and yet not even the low budget was able to compensate for that. Like 25.5, it needed to make $62.5 million to be in the profit margin, and it couldn't even do that. And I feel like for the studio, that was an easy feat, given that the last one made 180. So it's kind of crazy to think about how much of a huge dip that was for this film.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they still have that. We also looked up. They're still moving forward with the Soulmate, which is like not a direct sequel, but it's like a continuation of like the same universe.
Yeah, which is crazy. Coming out with a spinoff makes a lot of sense. Even continuing this, makes sense. I mean, it didn't make a profit, but you still made a lot of money off the first movie to kind of warrant a 3.0. I'm sure the merchandise is crazy on this. Like, you still see Megans everywhere.
Yeah.
So like, it's a recognizable figure, like character. I think now you might need to shift back to the horror of it all if you're going to make a third one. I think that's what people resonated with the most.
Yeah, but that's a lot of problem with most horror. Like, some they start great and then slowly they turn like campy. Like some do it sooner than others, and then some you just go full camp, like just right from the beginning. So it seems like they just went there earlier than they should have because they lost But then how do you recapture the magic of the first one? Like, what is because they've already burst that bubble, like,
Yeah.
So how do we recreate that and without it being the second one?
I think they took a gamble on like, oh, people will watch Megan in anything, and then they're like, oh no, we were wrong.
They were wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, now going over to F1 the movie.
Oh yeah, that's me.
That's you.
F1 the movie, budget of 200 million, projected opening of 55, opening weekend 57 million, total worldwide gross of 603.7 million. This movie was it's like classic blockbuster written all like a classic like sports drama. It was great. It was. I mean, you can't beat it with the opening score by Hans Zimmer. Like, he just. That score. It was just a solid. It was a solid story, and the score slaps. Like, it was just a fun summer movie. I was here for it.
Like you said, bona fide summer blockbuster.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is it right here. This is this year's Twisters, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Like, Twisters was a bona fide summer blockbuster. This was just that. It had high octane, great acting, great pacing, great music. I was on board from start to finish. Even some parts on the edge of my seat. It needed $500 million to make a profit. It made 603.7 million, so over 100 mil in the profit margin. Huge win for Apple TV Plus, because, and I think they're doing it right though. They're making these big movies and they're putting in the theaters, and it will eventually hit Apple TV Plus. But they understand that theatrical release with Netflix, I think, should take note. Like, they knew they had a good movie on their hands, and they put all the money into it, and they're able to get their first huge success, financially. Like, they also, Apple TV Plus has also came out with Killers of the Flower Moon with Martin Scorsese, and they also did Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so, like, those movies were like good for Oscars. Like, they were definitely getting some recognition in the Academy, but not financially. Those movies were not financial successes. But this one was their first big win, and yeah, one hell of a movie for the summer. Another movie, well, I don't know, man. Uh, Jurassic World Rebirth. These numbers are coming off of a 5-day holiday weekend. It came out for the July weekend. Came out on a Wednesday. Had a budget of $180 million. Had a projected opening of 133 million. Opened well surpassed that at 147.3 million. Currently has a worldwide gross of $844.5 million. To me, this says one thing. Doesn't matter if the movie's good or bad. People love dinosaurs, and they will
Yeah,
come out to support their dinosaurs.
absolutely. I mean, you can't beat those, regardless of how you feel about the movie, Matthew.
I know.
Like those numbers don't lie.
I have nothing to say.
I know.
I have nothing to say about it. It's like it literally is like I can tell you how much I didn't like this movie. I can tell you the flaws, and that is in our hidden within our Superman review. There was also a Jurassic World Rebirth mini review
Yes.
in there. And the movie was, I don't know, below fine in my opinion. I did not care for this movie at all.
I like how
Um,
you thought it looked like you thought about you were gonna say it was fine, and then you're like, no, fuck that, it's not.
no, it's not.
I
There
can't
was
even.
like
You couldn't even bring yourself to say it.
it was two good moments in here, and the rest were dog shit. But yet, again, it doesn't matter because the numbers don't lie, and people will come out to support their dinosaurs.
And
And Universal knows that.
here's a follow up question for you. Are you gonna see the next one?
Yes.
So Universal's like, don't care.
Yeah.
Come on, hate watch. Come on, give me your money.
Come on. You know you like the dinosaur.
Yeah,
I don't
come-
care if you hate him or
come
not.
on.
You're gonna come.
You're gonna hate watch. You're gonna just tell me how much you hate it. Just spend your
Yeah.
money. Yeah, buy that ticket.
Yeah. Tell me how much you hate it? $20 worth?
Yeah, dumbass. Yeah. Tell me how much you hate Jurassic World. Yeah, wear that Jurassic Park shirt when you go see it too.
You know you like that shirt. It's a good shirt.
It's a good shirt.
Feels nice when you wear it, right?
Yeah. Oh, look, dinosaurs, they suck. Oh yeah, tell me how much it sucks, and then we'll go see the next one.
Look, you complained that it was too weird. I don't know. I was trying to say something else. Look, we gave you a whole new franchise within the same franchise, but yet you're still not happy. I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. Look at the money.
Look at the money. Guess what? We're making another
We're
one.
making another one. All right, we're gonna move on to
Yeah.
what I believe, at least for me personally, is the freaking movie of the summer, and that's Superman. Although, with a budget of 225 million, projected opening from 120 to 130 million, opening weekend 125 million, leading to a total worldwide gross of 604.4 million. Matt, what does that put us at?
It needed to make $562.5 million to be in the profit margin, so we're just now getting into the profit margin for this movie. I will say, in order, because there's a lot of pressure behind Superman,
Yes.
and like restarting the DCU, James Gunn's first, DCU first official film, James Gunn being in the director's chair, kind of the whole thing about it. I think the 225 budget is justified.
Mm.
To make sure that it looks good. It's the movie that you guys wanted to kick off your franchise. However, talking about the superhero fatigue of it all, or just the time have changed. I don't think there's superhero fatigue, but people go into the movies and what they decide to watch, the times are changing. And people have seen Superman movies before. And they've come with either, great returns or diminishing returns, depending on how you feel about your Superman. And so I think this is just a reflection of that. However, it's still making a profit.
This movie was this movie was fucking great. Like, to me, this movie proved that there is no superhero fatigue. We're just tired of getting shitty stories. That, to me,
Yes.
that's what that says. Because to your point, here's a character who we have seen like countless iterations of, like so many different Supermen, but yet this movie was still able to resonate and break through this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point, this is the movie that everyone came to go see this summer. I think more than anything else. Obviously, that's a somewhat of a lie because other movies have made a lot more money as we discussed. But there was a large crowd to come and support Superman and see what that's all about. More so than what we talk about in a minute with Fantastic Four. A lot more people came to go see Superman than they did with Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I think for very similar reasons that I explained about Superman's like you've had your bad Fantastic Four movies. Why would anybody who's not keeping up with this want to support another one?
Yeah.
But there was a lot more coming off of Superman, a lot of positive word of mouth about Superman that kind of drove people to the theater. And I think this movie's still doing strong. Like it's still in the theater. It only came out about a month ago. Um, it can still make more money after that. But now currently it's available on VOD, so you can watch it at home. And James Gunn did that so quickly is because they wanted people he wanted people to see it before Peacemaker season 2 came out. So again, this isn't a failure by any means. It's making money. I think again, it's the high budget. I think moving forward, the budget should be lower.
Yeah.
But then as long as you continue to make great stories, this is just a launching point to eventually getting that huge financial win they're looking for. But this is a great start,
Yeah.
a great start of a great movie for Superman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, a movie didn't do great.
Uh,
Was this one?
a movie that I forgot about.
Yeah.
This is
I
a
don't
movie
know.
I almost forgot about. Like I completely forgot about Megan 2.0. At least this movie hit number 3 in the box office that I remembered it. Another horror movie that kind of just fell flat all around. I Know What You Did Last Summer, a reboot, remake, a continuation, however you want to call it. Had a budget of $18 million, which is really low. It had a projected opening of 13, 17 million. Came in under that, just under at $12.7 million. Had a worldwide gross of $64 million. 18 times 2.0 is 45. So, I mean, it still came out with $19 million in the profit, which is not that bad. Uh, and again, contributing to its low budget. However, this movie came and went. No one, it barely even made a dent in the summer. Nobody talked about it, but yet people still saw it because it came out of a profit. And then for the studio, it worked out for them because there was a little extra change they were able to put in their pocket this summer.
Well, hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully they don't make any more.
I don't think this movie needed to exist. Obviously, we didn't see it. But I think it still shows that there was a small audience for it. And for the people who wanted to see it, kind of came out. And again, we almost had a $19 million profit on it. And I think that's as much the studio can probably ask for. But
Yeah.
then that goes into probably the last huge movie of the summer, which is the Fantastic Four First Steps.
Yeah. Budget of 200 million. Projected opening of 100 to 110 million. Opening weekend 117 for a total worldwide gross of 490 million. It's probably no, it didn't. Did it? Not it like just cracked what it needed to make. No, missed it.
Just by 10 million, which is still in theaters, so it can still get there. But it needs to break even at 500.
Mm.
So
It's cutting it close.
it's crazy to think that this is Marvel's highest grossing movie of this year. And you think how low these numbers are, with again, Captain America was in what four like up here. Captain America was 415, Thunderbolts was 382, and now you have Fantastic Four, which a lot of people suspected this was going to be the higher grossing movie of the year for Marvel anyway. But I think a lot of people expected more than that. I think, in my opinion, I think people were expecting not Deadpool Wolverine numbers because that made $1 billion, but definitely in the comfortable 700, 800,
Yeah.
maybe even high 600s, low 700s of like a typical Marvel movie would make for a $200 million budget.
Well,
Like enough that it made like a decent sized profit. And funny enough, this came in uh, over $100 million less worldwide gross than Superman did. So you can even see the appeal of what superhero movie people wanted to go see more. Was obviously with Superman rather than Fantastic Four.
Well, it's because Fantastic Four came off as like just another Marvel movie. Like it was,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like amazing. It was good. It was fine.
I think Marvel played it safe at the end of the day with this movie,
That's
and it didn't
probably-
make huge waves
Yeah.
to make it like, oh, I need to go see what they did in this latest Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, between all three Marvel movies this year, none of them made huge waves to make it feel like it was a necessity to go watch this movie in the theater.
Mhm.
Whereas the positive word of mouth, even though Fantastic Four First Step did have a positive word of mouth, I think Superman had more of a draw for people to go check out. And also Superman is more well known internationally. than Fantastic Four is. Um, so yeah, I will admit I am a little bit surprised on Fantastic Four First Steps not doing as well, because I know as far as a Marvel fan, there was a lot of hype around this movie because this is Marvel's like officially first crack at making a Fantastic Four movie. But I guess only the nerds cared.
Yeah.
Um, and not like on a larger scale of it all. But I think at the end of the day, it'll probably break even. And then technically, the next big movie to come out of Marvel Studios is Avengers Doomsday, which doesn't come out until December of 2026. Now, we do have Spider Man Brand New Day that comes out July of 2026, but that is technically a Sony movie in partnership with Marvel. So they're not like Sony's the one that's fronting the bill on that. But so like Marvel's not really, benefiting financially, not entirely, with with however financial success comes out of Spider-Man. But again, Marvel Studios proper, they're not coming out for a movie for another year and a half when you think about
Mm.
it.
But
So
it is, but it this one, the Spider-Man Brand New Day is the next thing in the universe.
yes, that is correct.
Like, and I think this movie too was also like the beginning of like their initial restructure. Like Thunder, like everything
Yeah.
else prior to this was like kind of like that weird middle like of in between, like between Brave New World and Thunderbolts, whereas this one is like the first one this is the new direction of Marvel.
Yeah, and I think with the total worldwide gross we're getting from all these Marvel movies, I think Marvel will need to kind of they have a lot of time now. They're probably going to spend all the money for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. They're gonna have to.
Yeah.
With the amount of characters and it's going to be a very large budget. I think after that though, I think you need to start focusing on movies that are not $200 million, because clearly the people who are going to watch this movie are not the same people who used to watch your movie, at least in theaters anyway. So I
Yeah.
think they need to reduce the budget significantly in order to start making bigger profits in your movies moving forward after Avengers Secret Wars.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to The Naked Gun, kind of simmering out the last few movies as well as some of the bigger blockbusters. This kind of rounding out our August as well. Had a budget of $42 million, had a projected opening of 17 million. Kind of open right on par, opening weekend at 16.8 million, with currently at a worldwide gross of $86.5 million. For a comedy, that is kind of re taking a chance on spoof movies again. Not that bad
No,
of a turnout.
no, I thought
Granted,
this movie was
now in
great.
order to be in the profit margin, needed to make 105 million, so we're not quite there. But I think this is a good starting movie
Hmm.
to be like, hey, people will come out and enjoy comedies. Again, this movie's still in theaters, so it might, at the end of the day, it might still crack 100 mil, which is pretty good for for to kind of like reintroduce spoof movies again to a modern age.
I think this was another like a very refreshing movie to come out, even though it is a continuation of an IP. Like it was just like a refreshing movie to come out because like we haven't had a good spoof movie in a while.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is a good like recipe. It's like, oh, people will come out to the theater to watch this. This did not need to live on streaming. It can survive in the theaters. And I'm happy to see that studios can make this gamble on an unsure market. And I think the numbers prove it. Like, yeah, people will still come out and watch this.
Yeah, we also, I don't know where we are in time, but I think we forgot another summer movie that we forgot to talk about that we reviewed with the Naked Gun, and that's Together, the Brie Larson.
Oh, I don't think we forgot about it. I don't think it's not making me much big waves. Uh, to be honest, I don't think it even cracked the top 5.
It didn't, did it?
Um,
But it
sorry.
was another horror movie to come out during the summer.
Yeah, and, it looks like open to 6 mil, worldwide gross of 27. So, like, I'm not sure what the budget was for this movie, um, but I know it was kind of popular there. But yeah, I made a decent size, profit. I don't think it was anywhere close to making any sort of profit for the movie, um, but opening to 6 mils, it's a very crowded market, probably very low budget or marketing around the movie.
I mean, it was just a lot of great movies. The reported budget for that one was 17 million.
17. All right,
Yeah,
so yeah, it made 27 worldwide. So not quite, but it's there.
it's there. Yeah.
It's there. All right, moving on to The Bad Guys 2.
All right, so we got Bad Guys 2. Budget 80 million, projected of 20 million, opening weekend 21.9, total worldwide gross 149 million point $8. So hasn't cracked its what it needed to make just yet.
No, it needed to make $200 million to make a profit. I think it's a solid animated venture. I think the budget was modest. I don't think there's a lot of recognition behind this franchise, but yet there's still an audience around it. I mean, 149 off of an $80 million budget is nothing. It's still really solid
Yeah. Oh yeah.
for this as well. For like not one of the popular movies in DreamWorks library, but a solid one nonetheless.
Yeah, my
So
Hannah took the kids to go see it, and she said they loved it. Like everybody, like it was just as good as the first one, and I actually really enjoyed the first one too.
yeah, I really did like the first one. I didn't see a lot of draw for me to go immediately watch the second one. I might get to it eventually.
It'll be on
But
streaming.
again, these movies are for kids.
Yeah, this
And
is
so another animated venture kind of closing out the summer, but you know, not in the profit margin, but I think it's good enough. It's almost there. And it's still in the theaters, so it can probably still get maybe a breaking even point there.
true. True.
A movie that's quite surprising was Freakier Friday, a movie that probably a lot of people thought should have been straight to streaming, but I think it's proving the reason why it went to theaters. Had a budget of $42 million, projected opening around 27 to $30 million. Opening weekend of about 28.5 million, with a worldwide gross currently at $113.1 million. And the profit margin needed to be 105, so we're already in that right now. For this movie to crack 100 mil, I'm quite surprised with, and it kind of just shows the star power of Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis, the branding of Freaky Friday, the nostalgia that comes with it. Again, a movie that's kind of primed for streaming, but surprisingly did really well in theaters.
Yeah, and it's a like a good mother daughter like summer flick. It's a good chick flick. I guess not a we don't really use that term anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's good for a certain audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. A movie I haven't seen yet, I'll probably catch it on streaming, but I am interested in it.
Yeah,
But I think it's kind of good to recognize that, like, hey, yeah, again, there's a movies for all audiences, and Disney took a chance on it because they could have easily just put this on Disney Plus, and I think they came out with a good reward out of it. Same thing with Moana too. That was a $1 billion reward right there.
true,
Uh,
very true.
'Cause that was supposed to go to streaming and also be a TV show. So again, I'm not sure if this movie was supposed to go to streaming, but just by taking a chance in the theater, you never know who's going to come out and go watch your movies, and I think this was a good gamble for them.
Yeah, I agree. And kind of so now as we round out our summer blockbuster recap, we're finishing with Weapons. Budget of 38 million, projected opening of 42.5 million. Opening weekend made 43.5 million. Total worldwide gross of 199.6 million. I mean, this movie was fantastic. It was a great horror edition, another original story, kind of very similar to the story of Sinners, and just this year of just refreshing original stories, and this was one of them.
Yeah, this movie took a lot of people by storm. Surprise hit. I mean, obviously, we talked about this movie last week and the bidding war that was behind it. A lot of hype around this movie. I think the movie was marketed very well. And the movie needed to make $95 million in the profit margin. And boy, did it surpass that and then some. It's
Mhm.
already close to 200 million. It's already in its third week. So, like, it's, I think this is proving again, small budget horror movie, a lot of success coming out of Barbarian, a lot of positive word of mouth, and people want to see what that hype is all about, and that's how you get $200 million on an extremely low budget like that. And also, again, end up being a great movie at the end of the day. Like, we had our issues with it and our plus and minuses on it. Again, you can listen to last week's episode, but at the end of the day, it was still a really good movie, pretty solid movie. And I think people are coming to the theater to kind of recognize that and kind of see what the movie is all about, around what the hype around it. And I think when you market the movie around hype, it does, it drags people to the theaters. And again, another successful original horror movie that people are willing to support in the theaters.
Very true. Very true. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Mhm. Get my mic there.
Whoa,
Anyway,
whoa, Matthew.
that's the dong that means that that's all we have. That is the end.
Ding!
That is the end of our summer box office recap, and that is the all the show we have for you guys this week. As always, you can follow us on all of our social media channels on YouTube, on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterbox page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office _ Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here. It continues on all of our social media channels. So be sure to give each one of those a follow. We'll tell you what's new to streaming every Friday, and we'll give you the box office numbers every Sunday, as well as you can see some fun shorts we post on our Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram page, as well as all of our movie reviews on our Letterboxd page. Yeah, this was always a fun episode to have to kind of reflect on the summer blockbuster season. Is always a fun time, kind of creating, getting, kind of gathering all this information and seeing what the summer gave us. And now this is kind of like a good like stepping off point. Be like, okay, now the summer's officially over. We kind of recapped all of it, and now we can go move on to some of the fall offerings they have. And a lot of that typically comes with some blockbusters, some Oscars, like some contenders, like a little bit of award baiting movies, a little bit of blockbuster movies, a little bit of rom coms, a little bit of horrors, like kind of nice variety as we kind of go into the fall season.
Yeah, we like to call this Oscar bait season.
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of the times, around the fall time, we start getting these Oscar talk films, and then we also get again so a few blockbusters. Like the next big one's going to be Tron Ares in October
Mhm.
that we're looking forward to. November's a big year. We have The Running Man coming out. We have Wicked coming out. December is giving us Avatar. So like a lot of big movies to look forward to toward the end of the year. We also have some Oscar talk movies. We have One Battle After Another, the new
Mhm.
Paul Thomas Anderson film with Leonardo DiCaprio. We have Highest to Lowest with the new Spike Jones movie.
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee movie. No, Spike Jones. No, what?
Mm.
Who is it?
Well, let's confirm, but I'm pretty sure it's Spike Lee.
Spike Lee, yeah. And then we also have the Smashing Machine, the new Dwayne Johnson movie that's coming out later this year. That's also getting some attention, as well as new Springsteen movie starring Jeremy Allen White. That's also getting some conversation.
Okay, it is dun, 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 dun. Spike Lee.
Likely. Okay. All right. I knew I had it wrong and then right and then wrong again. But anyway, a lot of movies to look forward to this going into the fall season. I think next week we're going to be reviewing The Roses, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
The Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman film.
Looks funny as hell.
Does look really funny.
A little bit of a break. Actually, no, a few weeks ago we did a comedy, so we're going back into a comedy realm and seeing what that movie's all about. Kind of, seeing if it's worth the hype, or not really hype, but worth the trailer, because the trailer looks really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all the show we have for you guys this week. We really appreciate you listening to us talk about movies each and every week. We really do appreciate that. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. For that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
I've been Ernesto Santos. See ya.